what I know to be very true is that we're all creators.
Yeah.
We're all creating our lives, whether you like what you're creating or not, you're creating it. Everybody's energetically constipated.
Yes.
And just like you poop every day and you pee every day, energetically you have to do the same. And
The more people just focus on healing themselves, the more that changes the world.
you got to own your brain.
Yeah.
Don't let your brain own you. I always say your brain is your tool. Don't be a tool.
Hello and welcome to the Higher Vibe. I'm your host, Jean Roorda. I'm having conversations with psychic friends. Today I have with me Miwa Mack. She is the founder and director of the Boulder Psychic Institute. Welcome, Miwa.
Thanks for having me, Jean.
Yay! It's so good to see you again.
Yeah.
Yeah, been a long time.
Long-time psychic friends.
Yeah, way back. Aw, Miwa, I would love to hear, because I've never heard how you first started getting into being a psychic. When did you first recognize, oh, I'm psychic? Like, did you know that? Did someone have to tell you that? Like, how did you kind of come into this path of being and teaching? Yeah.
I believe that I was truly blessed in that my mom is first generation Japanese, and she really held firm even in the 80s when Asians were trying not to be Asian and they didn't teach their kids their language of origin. And my mom really fought hard and taught us Japanese. And in that, she also sent us to Japan every other 6 months as we were growing up as children.
Yeah.
And I just remember always being very in tune with energy as a very young child. And luckily, my aunt and my grandma in Japan, who didn't have the Western stigma around psychics, and because of their Shinto and Buddhist background, when I would talk to ghosts, they would just be excited and enamored and curious and always asking me, well, what are they saying? Is there a message? Do we need to know something? Are we supposed to do something different? And so they would always ask me to translate between these ghosts and them. And we would go to shrines and I would talk to all the entities, or we called them ghosts. And they really helped me to foster my abilities as a young child.
Wow.
And I would come back to the United States and kind of talk to ghosts, but nobody would be interested. So then I kind of kept it all to myself while I was 6 months in the United States. And then whenever I would go back to Japan, I got all this great attention from my grandma and my aunt. And so I really maintained those abilities because, as you probably know, children are born psychic.
Yeah.
Very psychic, and they just came from the land of spirit, and they're used to talking to people on a spirit to spirit level. And it's usually right at around 3, maybe 6 years old, where most children, especially here in the West, get squashed and conditioned and told that's not true. That's just your imaginary friend. Those things that you're talking to, that ghost or monster under your bed, isn't real. And so pretty soon it gets turned off, whereas mine was really encouraged and fostered at least every other 6 months. And so I grew up talking to ghosts and entities, and it was right at around 8 or 9 when my parents really started fighting a lot. An American father and a first generation Japanese woman in the 80s. It was a bad, it was not a match made in heaven.
Yes.
They started to fight, and their divorce was very long and drawn out, and there were just some things I didn't want to see. And so I really started to turn down some of my abilities just to protect myself so that I wouldn't just see all the nastiness. And it pared down by around 9 or 10 to where I would just see what I would call clouds around people. Sometimes the clouds had color, and I would even use language like, oh, it looks like there's a gray cloud around you. Are you kind of sad today? And nobody really questioned it. They all just thought I was speaking in metaphors. So I didn't really get the feedback that I needed to stop seeing those clouds and using that as data or information so that I could just tell how a person was doing. So that remained until I was 19. And then when I was 19, I got a Reiki attunement. And I think it was like the level 1 Reiki attunement. It might have been level 2, but I woke up the next morning and all of a sudden was seeing energy again, just like I was when I was a kid. And so that's how it all turned back on. And that's where I sought mentors and learned how to manage my abilities, mostly so I could turn it off in public and function,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, be able to walk in public without
Yeah.
flinching everywhere,
Yeah.
and then turn it up when I want to do a reading or a healing.
Yeah.
So that's how I came to this work.
Yeah.
And I actually got a degree in electrical and computer engineering.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I decided to work as an engineer. I lasted in corporate for about 9 months
Nice.
and couldn't do cubicle land, thought I was going to die from the inside out. And so I quit that job and ended up working at a local Montessori school with some of the most psychic people on the planet, toddlers.
Yeah.
So usually those kids under 3 feet tall are super psychic, and I really just wanted other people to hang out with and wanted to learn from them, actually. And they taught me quite a bit about fairies and ghosts and healing and all sorts of amazing magic. And I created an environment of permission for them to be pretty psychic. And it turned out to where the kids were reading their parents' minds or just doing some things that weren't very mainstream, and so the parents started to get concerned,
Yeah.
and then the administration started to get concerned, and I definitely saw that it was probably about time for me to leave. So I only lasted there about 2 years, and
I'll just sneak out the back door here.
the witch hunt and the pitchforks come out. I'm just gonna go.
Oh,
I realized I was in my early 20s. I was probably, 24 around then, and realized, instead of teaching kids, which actually was really my main goal, was to open a psychic preschool and to foster little kids' psychic abilities. Through that experiment at a young age, I realized, I really got to bring the parents along. If I don't bring the parents along and normalize these capabilities, which are very natural, although not normal socially,
right.
very natural. If I can't normalize it with the adults, then I'm never going to have support in creating the community that I want to create. And so that's where I decided to start Boulder Psychic Institute and teach adults, and figured at some point they'll have kids and
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
open a psychic school. And I actually do have a staff member right now who is really great with kids, and we're gearing up to start to teach in-person kids spirituality and meditation and psychic classes. So just the right people keep coming along at just the right time as I'm working to build a greater community of psychics, from birth, helping moms get pregnant and picking the baby spirit and helping them through their birth process, saying hello to that baby spirit as it lands in the body, and preschool, high school, all the way through adulthood, and then hospice. And
Oh, the whole
so,
spectrum. I
yeah,
love.
yeah. So I've been running the school since 2003, and I figure I've got lots of time. I'm 48 right now, and the right people come along, and we'll get there. We'll build.
Yeah.
I figure I got at least 30 more years. So
Yeah. I love the patience and the forethought, though, that it started with, I want to have a school for children, and then the clarity of like, got to train the adults first. So you've been doing that. That's brilliant.
yeah,
I
yeah.
also love, stepping back to your origin story, hearing that you had really experience in both worlds in terms of the kind of supportive, validating world where people were curious and interested in your psychic awareness, and then the more Western culture of like, oh, or just don't talk about that, or the more invalidating kind of surroundings. But to have both, I think that's an amazing awareness to be brought through that contrast, because you know what both looks like. You know what validation and support and just making space for psychic awareness looks like, and you know what you know what it looks and feels like to have more of the invalidation or not space.
Yeah, the medicate versus meditate cultures.
Yeah, it's exactly. Is it still like that?
I think
Well,
Japan's becoming more medicate, but it used to be
yeah,
very meditate. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and hopefully with all of the different psychic teachers out there, including yourself, just bringing that meditate. Hey, there's an option here to meditate rather than medicate.
And, I'm not knocking medication. I do think that it has its place and its purpose
Yeah.
and its time. But as we all know, there are long-term health consequences.
Yeah. And it's never very effective with turning off your psychic abilities.
I mean, yeah, I've definitely seen it turn them on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I definitely manifested a lifetime to set me up to where I am now. And also growing up in two very different cultures, where in Japan, it's a very homogenized culture. Everybody looks very much the same, especially in the 80s. There were very few foreigners in that culture. And going to school in Japan and getting picked on for having brown hair, not black hair, and for just kind of being different. And then coming back to the US, and there was also more acceptance of being different, but also in the 80s, there was a bit of an Asian stigma. We all remember Long Duck Dong from
Oh,
um,
probably. Yeah,
16
that sounds
right. And so so there was a lot of that. And I do think that a lot of those transitions really helped me to just be compassionate and forgiving of people and where they're coming from, and just recognizing that people are always going to have their judgments or ideas of who you are. And that just really enabled me to just decide, I don't need to be like everyone else, and I don't need to be an engineer, and I'm just going to walk to the beat of my own drum. And, I'm going to start up the psychic school,
yeah. Just
to
gonna do
where to this day, my stepdad, who's Japanese, introduced me as his daughter, and his friends oftentimes asks him what I do, and he oftentimes says, I don't really know, but it's something spiritual.
something in the realm of spiritual. That's so
I
fun.
don't know. It's weird stuff.
Yeah. So that's amazing. They're still just like, oh, she does something. Don't
Yeah,
really know what
yeah,
that
and I do believe that
is.
being brought up in those two cultures and just having the difficulty of that as a young child enabled me to just kind of not take on other people's judgments about who I am and what I'm doing.
Yeah, certainly the more we're exposed to all the different kinds of humans out there, the more compassionate we can be. It really cultivates that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, definitely. I think travel is very important. So,
So important.
yeah.
So now, as the director of the Boulder Psychic Institute, what is life like for you? Like, do you ever get a day off? Is it is it pretty full on all the time? I would imagine a psychic school very different from another type of school, right? Because, well, even if the doors are closed, so to speak, and class isn't in session, there's always something going on, right? The energy doesn't stop when when the door's closed or class is over. It's like the energy doesn't just like stop. So, how does that look in your life? How have you managed to be both a director of an institute and a mother and just all the things?
It is a very big balancing act, and I drop plates all the time. Almost every day, I'm apologizing for either being somebody's log jam for them getting their work done, or dropping a plate and missing something or another. And it's a very busy lifestyle. And I will say, at the beginning, as I was building the school, I hustled. There was a lot of tenacity. I was working all the time. I didn't have children or a husband at the time, so I had the time to do it. And I will say that that was my 20s and early 30s. And if I were to do it now at 48, I wouldn't have the energy for it, and having young children right now. So it was good timing in that I had a lot of time to hustle, work hard, work a lot, be poor for a long time, eating rice and beans as I was building up the business,
Yeah.
because you want to feed the business, not yourself.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? As you're building a business. And I was, running all of the accounting. I built the website. I was doing a lot of network marketing, and then teaching classes, doing readings and healings to keep everything going. And as my side gig, I was also nannying and tutoring to try to bring in income for my rent and my food. And
Mhm.
I started that in 2003. I started the school. I didn't call it Boulder Psychic Institute back then. It's kind of gone through different names and iterations, especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then it was not until 2011 that I got my first paycheck
Wow.
from the
Yeah.
school. And that's when I quit the nannying and the tutoring and just moved fully over into running the school and having that as my main source of income. And then it was 2010, I believe, that I moved into a beautiful building right on the Pearl Street Walking Mall in the middle of Boulder, and definitely panicked as I signed the lease for that. But my guide said, just put a sign up and
Do it.
school's going to be busy in a heartbeat. And literally within 2 months, I was able to pay the rent of the building. And then a year later, I was able to pay myself a salary. And it was right around then that I hired my first employee. And it's very different teaching classes and doing psychic readings and healings and being a boss.
Yeah. Different vibe for sure.
And I was a horrible boss for a
You're like,
long.
I'm not just doing readings. This is like, yeah, that's a whole nother level of
Yeah.
awareness and
As a Capricorn, just
yeah,
micromanaging, real high
yeah,
expectations, work as hard as I am,
yeah.
I was a bad boss.
We all
And
have our learning curves, right?
yeah, and then the school got pretty big and it got pretty cliquey.
Mm,
So as I'm learning about how to be a boss, I'm also learning about how to manage social dynamics.
yeah,
And like you said, even though the door is closed, people have their friendships, their interactions. They
yeah.
would come in fighting and then they bring the fights into the school. And
Oh
I
yeah.
remember the first time I tried to mediate a fight and then realized that's dumb. All the students, their personal friendships don't belong in the building.
Yeah, yeah,
So there's a big learning curve with how to manage all the student dynamics and sometimes when they would butt heads, because
yeah.
what isn't obvious in the title of my school, Boulder Psychic Institute, where we're training psychics and healers, what most people may not realize is that the work that we do at Boulder Psychic Institute is really deep personal growth work, where you really have to look within and acknowledge and own your stuff and also learn how to heal it. And that takes a lot of safety. It needs a lot of safety. It needs a lot of space. It needs a lot of trust. And it's a very delicate space. And people, stuff comes up and they get triggered and then they bump into each other. They want to bump into the teachers. And it's a very delicate balance. And I don't think it was really until maybe 2021 ish in there that I feel like, okay, now I have this solid staff. I'm actually a pretty decent boss, sometimes good. And I've really figured out how to manage all of the student dynamics to where it's even safer now for people to come and unpack their past and unpack their wounds and heal from it, because intuition, the root word is entwere, which means to go within. A lot of people think it's this outward thing. Oh, I'm being psychic to you. I'm
Right,
giving you a reading. I'm reading the future out there.
right,
But it really is, first and foremost, you have to go within. And if you're not a clean channel or clear seeing, clairvoyant, right? If you're not clear, you're not going to see with clarity. And so there's a lot of internal healing work that has to happen. And so, yes, it's a lot of work. I don't really get days off. Every week, I keep saying, someday I'm going to take a Sunday off and spend the whole day with my kids instead of just half a day. And I every week have the hope that I'm getting closer. So,
yeah. And like you said, that all of the unseen jobs I'm thinking of that you do in terms of just managing the energy of the personal dynamics, and I'm thinking karmic kerfuffles that, happen between either various teachers or students or in between. And just looking at that and keeping that space clear and safe is so important in running an institute and keeping it going. Because I think that's oftentimes what closes institutes down, or where any kind of teaching practice runs into a wall, is those karmic kerfuffles come up and then the space isn't safe. People don't have a sense of compassionate space to start to let go of their like you said, traumas.
Yeah. Well,
You're
I think again, I did manifest things pretty well in that my mom really pushed me into engineering, and I have a very scientific mind, the scientific method of observation. I'm really good at observing and then figuring things out. And so I really have reverse engineered this school. Whereas a lot of other spiritual schools or environments, there isn't a great balance between left brain and right brain. It's very left brained, and I'm just gonna do this thing. And so putting together a website or putting together a solid curriculum or putting together your advertising or accounting. I mean, I built my first website with HTML. It was horrible because it was
yeah.
early 2000s before you could just click and drop and make a website in 2 seconds.
Right.
You had to actually HTML the whole
Yeah.
thing. I
Like
did that.
hand code it. Yeah.
I did my own accounting on Excel. I did
Yeah.
all my student attendance tracking on Excel.
Yeah.
And every Friday night, I'd sit down with 20 clipboards in my office and, mark everyone and mark who paid, who didn't, what attendance. And I mean, it was a lot of right brain stuff too.
Yeah. All those details.
Yeah, and quite frequently I get students who come from other schools and their eyes get big in wonderment, like, wow, you have a curriculum? Like, you know what you're gonna teach next year? You have that all planned out. And I think part of that also helps them to feel safe because as you know, through raising children, structure and routine is what helps kids feel safe. And I truly believe that all of us as inner children need that too in our adulthood. We need that structure, we need that routine, we need to know what's coming.
Yeah.
And when we have that, it's easier to relax in our bodies and then be able to open up and learn. Because if the body's not feeling safe and relaxed, you can't bring your energy up into the upper chakras to experience some of those higher vibrations. And I think that that's where a lot of schools have a difficult time, where the people running the schools, that's not their strength. Whereas I had that training in engineering school. And also when my mom moved to Japan when I was 18, I managed her 10 rental properties. So I did her taxes, I did her accounting, and I had all of that life experience heading into this, which all worked out very beautifully.
Yeah. It's so necessary in running, especially as it gets bigger and bigger. You have to have those structures in place or it just gets too confusing.
Yeah, yeah.
Messy,
I,
too, and
go
difficult. Those structures make it grounded and it might not make it easy, but it puts ease into managing the difficulty.
Yeah, I can't tell you how often I get a younger student who comes to me and says, my parents said that they're going to pay for college. Should I go to Naropa, which is our local Buddhist school
Right,
here
right,
in
right.
Boulder? And I say, no, go get your business degree at CU. You're
That's
getting your
amazing.
spiritual degree here,
Right.
and you got to go round that out and figure out how to run a business, or you're not gonna, or you're gonna have a very difficult time succeeding.
Yeah. We have to have those worldly skills as well.
Yeah, and it's so funny because a lot of my students think that I just sit around and eat bonbons all day. And
Oh,
and then whenever I hire a new staff member, which I usually hire students to be
yeah.
on my staff because they know the lingo, they know the brand,
Yeah.
I hire them up and every one of them says, "Oh, I didn't think I'd be like doing normal work. I thought I'd just be meditating and doing psychic stuff all day." And I was like,
Right.
in your job description, I hired you to do
Right.
marketing and to
Yeah.
for me because I hate writing and you're writing copy. And yeah, you do have to sit in front of a computer and write some copy from time to time.
Right. Nice.
So it's both.
Yeah.
I love it and it's also a challenge. It's also a lot of hard work and
Yeah. And
but
that's life, though. It's both, you know. We're
yeah.
spirit, we're in a body. So we have the spiritual awareness, and then we got to make it work here in the
Yeah.
body. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
And then, just like with raising kids, when a student has a win or, something opens up for them and something amazing happens in their life, it's really sweet to get to witness that and to be in support and the one holding space for that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
And then you became a mother. Oh my goodness. So not only did you start and run this successful and amazing institute for psychic training, then you're like, when did you decide? When were you like, and let's just do this too? It's so great.
Well, in all of my previous lifetimes, I did do spiritual work, and I was a man in about 8 or 9 of them previous to this lifetime. And there were some lifetimes where I was married, but really I didn't talk to my wife. I just did the perfunctory
Yes.
husband thing. And, otherwise, I really just wasn't into relationships. I didn't want to deal with any of that. I really wanted to focus on
Yeah.
spirituality. And this lifetime, I manifested to be in a female body. And I manifested it very differently in that I decided, well, once I get this school up and running, actually my growth area that I need for myself isn't spirituality as much. I can build this school and let that kind of run, but it is intimacy and it is connection and relationship. And so it was right at around 30 that I decided, okay, the school is doing decent. Things are moving along. I'm finally getting paid.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to have to take my
Box.
it's not all about my students' growth. I'm going to have to take my own personal growth and try this whole intimate relationship thing. Ew.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
we all have our growth edges. It's
I
different.
know.
Yeah.
And so I decided to take the leap and I started dating and then dating to get married. And when I was 33, I met my husband and then we got married when I was 35. And I wanted to have kids right away, but it just was not in the cards. So I had my first child at 41, which actually turned out to be perfect because the school, I needed a little bit more support. I needed a few more staff members, a few more things in place so that I could actually be a decent parent with, some time for these kids. And yeah, and that's when my son snuck in and he's a little Buddha baby.
Oh.
Yeah.
So when you say snuck in, have you been looking at your agreement with different baby beings? Have you been interviewing any baby beings? Like how was that for you as a psychic already coming into being a mother with that level of awareness? That's a different approach. A lot of people, it's just sort of happenstance when a baby being comes along. But I would imagine for you there was a little more forethought.
Yeah, well, yeah. So those little baby spirits, in case somebody's listening who may not know, they're little human spirits who want to be born into a body in this lifetime. And what most people don't know is that those baby spirits are kind of circling the planet, looking for who's going to be their best mother and their best father fit for genetics and socioeconomic status and all the things that they're going to learn or not learn from their parents. And so they have this roadmap of what they want, and they're kind of circling, trying to find the right parent. And usually, because most people aren't aware of spirits, they don't know that this is happening, but the baby spirit will kind of tap you spiritually on the shoulder and say, will you be my mother? Will you be my father? And usually it's very unconscious for the adult because they're not aware of spirit. They'll say, sure. And then once both parties say yes,
Mhm.
baby spirit and adult say yes, then that baby spirit becomes an agreement with that adult where they'll potentially bring them in their human form.
Yeah.
And so knowing this in my early years, when I was like 18, 19 and started seeing energy more, I started to realize, oh my goodness, I have lots of baby spirits who are swarming. I guess I must have said yes to like a whole football team. No wonder I'm so horny.
You can take it as a compliment, right?
No wonder I want to have sex all the time. All these babies, they're pregnant.
All the baby beings are cheering you on. Let's do it.
Right. And so I started applying my energy work skills and breaking those agreements and sending them off to other potential moms. And I pared it down to one
Mm.
little baby spirit who is my son Orion. And just he's like this cute little Buddha baby, super peaceful and chill. So I was like, yeah, you're a good one. I'll keep you around. If I ever decide to have babies, you're the one.
Yeah.
And then he kept tapping me as I was starting Boulder Psychic Institute. He's like, you're getting old, we got to do it. And I said, well, if you help me get to the school, to the place to where I have an income
Mhm.
and I have time, then sure. And so he actually, on an energy spirit level, did a lot of work to help me build the school behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And Then I met my husband. He, from a previous relationship, had 2 sons. And although out loud he said he was interested in making babies with me, I could tell that he had a lot of hesitancy in
Yeah.
doing it. And so strategically, I thought to myself, well, if we had a girl, then we'd have buy-in. So I pushed the little Buddha baby boy spirit to the side and said, you're going to have to wait. I want to bring in an older sister first. And
You
so
gotta get dad on board. Yeah.
I got to get dad on board here. He needs a little baby girl to be,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
daddy's girls, right?
Yeah.
And so I started interviewing baby spirits, and I found 2 very sweet girl spirits
Mhm.
that I said, okay, well, whoever can make it in first, we got this. And
Yeah.
you hang out to the side.
Yeah, yeah.
And we were trying and trying, and for many years, 4-ish years, trying to get pregnant, and it might have been longer than that. So anyway, we were trying for a very long time, and just when I just gave up, I was like, well, maybe it's just not in the cards. It's okay. And as we all know, right, the minute you give up and you let go, because you can't manifest anything like this,
Yes. As soon as you let go, it happens.
because manifesting needs space, you need room to manifest. So the minute I let go, I had a moment of unconsciousness, and my son came in.
Ah, he was like,
He was
here
like,
I come.
I'm more powerful than these kids.
He's like,
So,
who's here first?
yeah. So thankfully he came in, and he is not only, very spiritually inclined, but in that because I'm working to raise my kids with more freedom and spiritual permission, and just trying to experiment with raising kids maybe differently than how most people do. He does have a lot of permission, so he's a little bit of a troublemaker. He's trouble. And most days I'm like, why didn't I just raise you how everybody else raises you?
But how is that? Yeah, is there a difference between how psychic parents raise kids? I mean, there's so many different parenting styles, whether you're psychic or not, but then there's adding that component of really being in conscious spirit to spirit communication with the being as well as their body is going through all these different stages of development. Ah, how does that look for you? How do you approach
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it looks for other psychic moms
it?
or dads, but for me, and he was, of course, my first, right? And so you're always learning from your first. And so the experiment that I ran with him was, well, I'm just going to always be talking to him spiritually. Whenever we see energy, we're going to talk about it. Whenever there's any ucky feelings, I'm going to work with him on energy tools on how to release it. And so he's very good with energy and really good at talking to spirits, and he's very, very sensitive. And in that, it is actually kind of harder for him to be in a normal school environment.
Yeah.
This is where if I could homeschool, if I had the time, I would, because it's just difficult for him to be in a regular school environment where he's expected to be a little bit tougher or expected to not notice certain things and talk about it. I remember the first day his preschool teacher, I think Orion was about 4 years old. She called me. She says, "Miwa, Orion's on the playground talking to I don't know what, but maybe ghosts." Last few weeks he just talks to himself, and he's not talking to the other kids. And and of course I'm reading her energy, and she's like, I think your kids,
Yeah. You're like, oh, that's normal.
and I was like, I'm not gonna say that's normal. I was like, okay, well, I got it. Thank you for letting me know. I'll handle it. And so he came home that day, and I said, well, Ryan, you can't take your spirit friends to school, and I know which ones you're taking because we talk to them all the time, but they have to stay home now. He's like, no, I want to take them. I was like, you can't take them anymore because when you talk to them at school, then the teachers get really worried, and then that energy ends up in your space, and then you have more to deal with. So they just have to stay home. For a few weeks, I actually had to keep calling his spirit friends back home and putting them on a bench in the house, and like, you guys time out day until Orion comes out.
After school friends. Yeah.
But that was how I got him to stop doing that at school, because I realized, oh, I don't want the crazy energy put on my son to where all of a sudden then he starts to believe he's crazy, so there's a lot of learning there. So I'm doing it a little bit differently with the second one that I had at 44. She's a girl. So one of those girls did get in. Yeah, so just a little bit differently, a little bit more like we're going to keep this more homebound
Yeah.
and not necessarily take it as much out into the bigger world.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So a
Yeah.
little bit more awareness and training for the kids on like, we're a little different at home than most people are out there. That's
Yeah.
probably helpful, yeah, as they go out into the world and they don't have a psychic preschool to go to or,
Or
play.
psychic adults to understand what's going on, or even like my grandma and aunt to be curious at a minimum.
But
Yeah.
they have that at home, so that's great.
Yeah, they have that at home, and I definitely have a few nannies that are students at the
Yeah.
institute, and so they help at home and they help me foster those capabilities at home. So we're doing the best we can. I've worked with a lot of spiritual parents who their child comes in and, oh, my child is so wise and my child's an old soul, so I'm just gonna follow my child and let my child lead the family. And I oftentimes have to educate them a little bit. Yeah, sure, they're old souls. They have some great information, but that body, the actual physical body, doesn't know how to cross the road without getting hit by a car. That
Yeah.
physical body doesn't even know how to use the toilet,
Yeah.
on its own, right? You actually do have to be the leader because you have more life experience. And even
Yeah.
though maybe you think you're a younger or medium soul and your child is an older soul, your job is still to teach them how to succeed in the world. And it's partially
Yeah.
being safe in the body and making sure that your body is healthy, but it's also how to get along with other humans who aren't spiritually inclined.
Right. How to be able to match and be in communication with someone no matter where they're at in terms of
Yeah.
their awareness.
Yeah.
And
And
I
how,
think oftentimes when you said that about like an older soul, maybe picking a younger soul parent, oftentimes that's the agreement. They want that safe container. They want someone to teach them how to be in the world.
yeah, maybe in their last lifetime, they're like half meditating and walking and got ran over by a car.
Right. Yeah. And oftentimes there's an old wise soul who's spent so many lifetimes like maybe as a monk or in a kind of environment that was so, created for them that now their growth edge is to learn to create for themselves. Like you actually get to learn how to cook and clean and take care of the body in a way that maybe that soul hadn't had to bother doing that for so long.
And
Yeah.
interact with people and conflict. And
Yes.
what do you do with
In
that?
community. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the big things that I really push at Boulder Psychic Institute is that these tools that I'm teaching my students are not designed to isolate you. They're not designed to isolate. I can't tell you how many other spiritual people that I meet who say, oh, I can't talk to that person because they have a low vibration and they're going to bring me down.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
I can't talk to them because they believe in,
Psychic judgment.
yeah, or they're politically on the wrong side or whatever. Like I
Right.
might get their energy cooties. And I always tell my students, we live in a world right now where literally you cannot find a place anywhere on the planet that is perfectly silent. There's radio waves, there's
Yeah.
all energy waves, plane waves. I
Yeah.
mean, the internet, Wi-Fi, like it
Just
is almost impossible to find a single tiny spot on the planet where there's no noise. Not only from people, but from all of our electronics and
Right.
magnetic equipment. And so you have to figure out how to be in this world nowadays, because you can't just go live at the top of Tibet and meditate and not talk to people. You
Yeah.
actually do have to interact now with how crowded the planet is getting. And so how do you interact with a low vibrational person? Are you going to judge them? Are you going to,
Yeah.
push them away, or are you going to decide like I can be with any energy? And
Yeah.
that's really my goal for my students is, can you be neutral, no judgment,
Yeah.
maybe curious about any energy that you encounter,
Yeah.
amazing or totally low.
Yeah. That's compassion to be with whatever the energy is, right?
Yeah.
Not resist it, not judge it. I love that you said be curious. I love that approach too. Because we can learn from anyone. Like, oh, what is this person all about? What, even if they're on a totally different level politically or whatever it is, like how did they come to be this way? What's informing their decisions now? What kind of past have they had? What kind of pictures are they operating from? Just kind of getting curious and being neutral.
Yeah.
Such an important skill.
And
Yeah.
just being able to communicate with anyone. Right.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
world would be a much better place if we could all just get along, right? And it's like we all have to go back to kindergarten and learn how to get along.
Well, yeah.
Learn how to communicate and just find that place of no judgment and curiosity. Children are often like that. Just like, oh, wow, you're different. What are you all about?
Right.
Yeah.
I love that phrase from the Bible, come as a child and you'll see God.
Yeah.
Right? If you're curious in the present moment, if you're just having experiences with no expectations, you'll see energy, you'll see spirit, you'll see auras, you'll see chakras, you'll see all of that. And that's why children are very psychic.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't have those judgment pictures that the adults have gathered and built up. And
yeah. Well, and also the intellect, the brain doesn't really start to full on develop until later.
yeah.
And then it kind of solidifies and, it's even still growing, until 28, I think.
Yeah.
So, and then once it's set, like that brain really likes to be in charge.
It does. It really wants to be in charge.
So you gotta own your brain.
Yeah.
Don't let your brain own you.
Yeah. You can be in charge. Let that brain just take the back seat instead of the driver's seat.
I always say your brain is your tool. Don't be a tool.
Yes, yes. It's like the world that we live in now with AI tools. It's like let it be a tool, right? Don't be tooled by it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So important. That brings me to the level of awareness of something we teach as well in psychic training is just that sovereignty, right? To be senior to different energies, right? You can be senior to your brain. To the judgment pictures, right? We don't have to become the effect of every single or any thought that our brain spits out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, the way you can interact with any energy is by keeping it outside of your space.
Yeah.
And having that sovereignty, having your autonomy is the psychic visual for that is your aura bubble. Yeah. And if you're contained in your bubble and it has integrity, meaning a solid boundary, then you can still be you and you can interact with another person and you don't have to lose yourself in that relationship.
Right.
You don't have to become a victim to your environment where all of a sudden you're in a room full of people who are gossiping and you'd rather not, but then the next thing you're gossiping and you walk away feeling ucky that you did that. Yeah. And then you don't want to hang out with those people again because they're bad. Where it's really
sticky.
Yeah, you were just being porous.
Right. Mm-hmm. Just having that aura that just merges with everything or allows everything to come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why people have a hard time interacting with others because they lose themselves.
They lose themselves. Yeah. If I tried to boil down what I teach, I just say it's to know thyself. That's really what becoming psychic is all about, is just getting to know yourself, right? To have that aura that isn't porous is part of the process of creating that is just getting to know yourself. What's your energy, what's not? And recognizing if and when you go into resistance or judgment or solving the other person's energy. Yeah, it's such a process of discovery and learning. I'm so grateful you're out there offering this because I really do see that the more people just focus on healing themselves, the more that changes the world. Like we don't need to go out there and try to change the world, right? It's just what in me is creating something that's going on in the world out there and really addressing it from that inner level, like you said, and to go within and look there.
Well,
what impact that can have.
We're so conditioned socially to point the finger out there and to be the victim. It's your fault. You're doing it to me. You did that. You fired me. You were mean to me. You hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
You made me think that. You made me do that. You.
Yeah. It's all your fault.
Yeah. Which basically puts you in the victim and not taking responsibility for yourself and your life. Yeah. And what I know to be very true is that we're all creators. Yeah. We're all creating our lives, whether you like what you're creating or not, you're creating it. I know that's a tough pill for some people to swallow. Everything you experience, you've created. Yeah. That is a tough one to swallow.
Yeah.
Very hard.
It always is. Every time you discover a new level of, I created that. Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
to take that finger and point it back in,
Yeah.
right? Taking ownership, self-responsibility. Oh, this is my life. I'm creating it. And my feelings are hurt. It has nothing to do about you, even though you said something. It's my feelings. This is
Yeah.
my problem. It's
Yeah.
not your problem to fix. As a matter of fact, you can't fix that problem because it's my
Yeah.
problem.
That's huge right now. It's a
Uh,
big theme in the world right now is a lot of folks learning like, oh, actually blaming doesn't work. It's not going
Well,
to make me happy.
I mean, I do have to say right now it's very popular to be a victim.
Yes, that's what. Yeah, it's a good way of saying what I was looking at. I was like, it's very like up right now.
It's a very popular vibration to be a victim. If you're a
Yeah,
victim, you're kind of cool. And
yeah. You'll be very included in the cool club.
and that's not something I teach.
Yeah,
I don't teach that
yeah,
anybody's a victim, at
and
least
that's
spiritually.
hard.
Maybe physically, you can be
Right,
a victim of harm or a crime or an accident,
right. Well, and
but
that's such an important distinction because that doesn't mean that bad things don't ever happen to you. But when we look at it from that energetic level, it's very different. You can operate from victimhood and have all kinds of horrible things happen to you. But when you're not operating from victim, yeah, things might still happen to you, but you're able to own your creative power to respond in an effective healing way.
yeah. And usually transmute that experience into some form of wisdom,
Yes. Yeah.
versus something
Exactly.
that's going to hold you back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't live your life if you're being a victim. You really are holding yourself back in that vibration because
Hmm.
you give away your power. You don't have any of your own creative power to respond and to create what you would like to create when you're being a victim because then your power's just out there. Somebody else has it. You gave it away. Oopsie daisy. But it's easy, right? It's not hard to be a victim.
Well, again, it's very popular and it's very normal out there.
Yeah.
But I do actually see that what's natural for us is to be recognizing how much of a creator we are and how empowered we actually are, and to give that more credit. And from there, I watch so many students live a life of grace. It's not perfect. They have happy moments, sad moments, but they have peace.
Right.
They have peace. And I truly see that, kind of looping back around to saving the planet or helping others or fixing what's going on out there. I don't think this planet is made for peace.
Yeah. It's duality.
Planet is all about the dichotomy. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. So there's going to be war and peace. There's going to
Yeah.
be yin and yang and winter, summer, male, female.
Yeah.
And that's the whole amazing part of being about planet Earth,
Yeah.
right? Earth School is pretty cool. You can learn so much from
Yeah.
all
That's what
these.
makes those contrasts or what makes it such a cool school.
Yeah, exactly. It's what makes it. But if you can have peace with that there's never going to be peace out there,
Right.
then you can have peace in here,
Right.
even when you're having a great day or a bad day.
Yeah.
I always say, when you get to this place, whatever goes down always goes back up.
Yeah. It's true. This too shall pass. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's part of the learning and growth of recognizing when you're being a victim or not, because when you can have peace no matter what's going on around you, you know that your peace isn't based on what's going on around you. So there can be war and conflict and suffering, and it's not your job to fix it, and you can still be at peace within. Right?
And you can be sad about it. You
Yeah,
can feel sad for the people and have some level of emotions about it.
absolutely. Yeah,
And you can maintain your sovereignty. And usually that's where I think you can be more effective too,
absolutely.
because your energy
Yeah.
isn't pouring out. You
Because
have your
I see peace as like acceptance. So peace doesn't mean you don't feel sad about it. It just means you're at peace with feeling sad about it, right? You're not battling like, I don't want to feel this. You're just in acceptance of
yeah.
this is what's happening and this is how I feel about it. And from that place, you're more empowered to respond if there's something that you feel inspired to act upon in relationship to that suffering.
Yeah, and I think it's going to get worse here over the
Yeah,
next.
it might get a little ugly. That's part of school, right? It gets a little more challenging.
It's definitely exciting to be on Earth School right now. It's
I
an exciting
know, it really is.
Yeah. People
Yeah.
often say, how could you bring children to the world with what's going on in the world? I said, well, they want to be here.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
want to be here because it's
Maybe
really,
babies aren't a victim. Like they're not going to come in if they don't want to come in. It's not an oopsie daisy, really. I mean, on some level, some of us might get here and go, "What in the world? Like, what was I thinking? And how did I get here?" But really, on that higher self level, all souls choose it, and they know what they're getting themselves into, and they're very capable. The souls coming in right now have a lot of enthusiasm, very capable creators.
yeah,
They're
definitely.
ready for it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because a lot's going to be changing here on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, to put in a plug for both Jean and for me, the world's going to need more psychics and healers. Every day there's a bigger demand and a bigger demand for psychics and healers because people want the help, they want the support. The regular institutions are starting to fall apart,
Yeah.
and the regular answers are not providing enough of a resource for people. And so people are seeking out psychics and healers and alternative perspectives. And so, if that interests anyone who's listening,
We're here for you. Yeah, there's so many more people seeking right now. That's what I've observed is there's so many more people recognizing something about the way we've been doing things is not working. Like there's got to be another way, another level of depth, and recognizing that importance of going within. Like you said, I love that you pointed out intuition means to go within. It's so important. Like that's where everything starts. And all of our old institutions are really not designed to even recognize the importance of going within, let alone guiding people to do that. It's all about it's out there. Thank God those are all falling apart. I agree. It's a very exciting time to be on the planet.
well, and the problem is that most people are not educated on how to change, and whether we like it or not, change is here.
Yeah,
And I mean, the
it's gonna
world is really
happen.
changing. It's never been stagnant. But
Right.
there are some really big changes that are happening right now, especially with the institutions that we've become very accustomed to and comfortable with. And
Yeah.
as they are falling apart, people's bottoms are clenching. Chakras.
Great picture, Miwa.
And it's because nobody's educated on how to change. And a lot of the work that we do is all about how do you go through, how do you grow? How do you
Well,
change?
let go.
How
Speaking
do
of clenching your bottom, just like,
how do you relax your butt?
let go. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, change is like you said, change is always happening. That's just the world we live in. But right now, it's all the changes on all the levels, big change, and you can't really get by with not changing along with the big changes.
Yeah, I
So,
remember during COVID when the lockdowns were happening, and I was just so proud of all of my students who could clear energy and reset and be
yeah,
grounded, have their sovereignty.
yeah,
And they really just glided through it because they're like, well, this is a big change. I guess I'm not leaving my house for I don't know when. And they just decided to, be at peace within. And most of them really glided beautifully through it. And our community survived that and thrived through that
right.
actually really nicely because everybody knew how to change, because that's what we do in every class, in every practica that we do at the Boulder Psychic Institute. It's always about change, change, growth, growth, growth. And they were like, well, this is very different.
This is how you do it. And to be able to maintain your own energy through that big change that the whole world is going through, that's huge because for any psychically sensitive person who doesn't have those skills of recognizing their own energy, recognizing when they're becoming the effect of other energy, that was a big, that's a big deal to have that much fear in the collective, to be kind of moving through this soup of fear and, well, not to mention the control, but
Just
to
all the rules
be
and miscommunication, misinformation. I mean, it really heightened. Yeah.
yes, all that was really, really loud, energetically loud during that time. So to be able to navigate through that, that's beautiful. So glad that your students could move through that with ease and peace. And like you said, curiosity, like, well, this is interesting. Look at this.
And of course amusement,
Yeah.
keeping light.
Yes.
Yeah.
So important.
Gotta
And
always,
now it keeps going. I mean, we might not have the same form of change going on, but that was just the beginning of a lot of big changes coming at us from all directions. So,
yeah.
so important that people recognize how to change, how to go with the flow of change. I love the way you put that. Yeah, I had never really noticed that. Yeah, people just really don't know how to change.
And they resist it.
Right. It feels uncomfortable, unsafe, scary. I
Yeah.
don't want that.
Yeah. I mean, that's always one of the biggest questions in corporate. Like, we want to make this change and nobody wants to change.
Mm,
Right. And so then you look at it globally,
right.
that problem is multiplied.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
such a funny picture. I'm going to keep seeing that of the clenched buttocks. So
Ah,
the world is just constipated. Is that what we're doing, Miwa? Are we teaching people how to have their spiritual laxatives?
you know, when I was 16, my mom took me to see this psychic out in Japan who was really good at telekinesis,
Yeah.
moving objects with his mind and with his energy.
Yeah.
And when I walked in, he just knew, oh, we have a visitor here from Colorado. And we had been kind of spiritually communicating. But one of the first things he talked to the group about, because you go see him, and it's kind of like a small group of 20 people.
Yeah.
And he said, after his whole show of showing how he like floated rings around. He could put a light bulb in his mouth and turn it on and off, and
What?
just super cool things. And at the end, he made us all shake. And he said,
Mm.
everybody's energetically constipated.
Yes.
And just like you poop every day and you pee every day, energetically you have to do the same. And so
Yeah.
was him teaching us his best method
I love
of
that.
releasing energy. And he just, recommended that we, shook
Yeah,
for
shake
10
it
or
out.
15 minutes every day, which it's not a bad little practice there.
Yeah. There's so many ways to get the energy moving. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, right? Movement is life. Athletes say that. People in sports therapy or physical therapy, nurses and doctors say movement is life, but they're all thinking physical,
Right.
but energetically too. Whenever I see stuck energy in the body, I usually equate that to pain. And I can usually, oh, how's your shoulder today? Oh, it's
Right.
kind of hurts. So yeah, it's because the energy's not moving.
Energy is not
Right.
moving.
Yeah. Got to keep it moving.
Yep.
Keep
Gotta keep.
taking those energy laxatives.
Yeah. And if it helps to get things going by, you can start with the body, shake it up, and then you'll notice, oh, this is where the energy's not moving when you kind of shake it up.
Mhm.
But you can also start from within and just have a look like, oh, yeah, that energy is not moving. So much better when the energy flows.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, movement is truth.
Can bring in our creativity when things are moving, support change.
Joy, all the good things.
Yeah. Joy is not a stuck vibration. It's great. Never thought about it that way, but
Everything good moves.
that's right.
Which
All the good stuff.
then, I mean, for to get really philosophical about it, everything good moves, which
Mhm.
means that everything good is going to change, which means you can't really hold on to the good things,
Yeah. Gotta keep
right?
letting it go.
All this waveform.
Yes. Life is movement. Yep. All the waveforms too. Like when we look at energy, when it's not moving, it's dead. If you're looking at energy, if it's not moving at all, that's not life energy, right? The energy that's moving, that's life. It's breathing. Well, I'm glad that there's movement and flow in our lives and that we can teach that because that's the joy. That's the higher vibe. It's like things are moving. We're not attached, right? Whether it's good, bad, beautiful, or ugly, there it is.
Things are always changing, so you might as well learn how to change.
Might as well go with the flow.
Because then there's the big change, death, learning how to die.
And
Right?
yes, that is the one that people tend to not want to deal with until it's happening. Learning how to die. It's like, yeah, if you can learn to go with the flow in life, then you'll be an expert at dying and you'll be able to do it the way you like, have it your way.
It's just another step.
It's just another step. And you don't have to be a victim, right? You don't have to be a victim to the change. You know it's coming. You can create it in the way that you'd like to have it and be at peace with it. And then you keep going.
Then you keep going, then there's still movement.
The body keels over and you're like, hey, here we And then you go on to
Yep.
create the next step. Thank you so much for chatting with me today, Miwa.
That was invigorating. That was
Yeah.
super cool places. I don't get to have conversations like that often. So thank you.
Right? I
Yeah.
know. Conversations with psychic friends. You never know what's going to come up. Some funny images too that will stay with me. I'm going to use that. Like, are you spiritually constipated?
How's your first chakra? And you don't want your crown chakra in your first chakra.
That's right. You don't want your head
Head
up
up
your
your
rear. So good. Thank you, Miwa, for all the laughs. And I wish you well.
Likewise.
And yeah, cheering you on. I love just the vibe of your institute, that foundation of compassion and learning how to be with all the people, learning how to say hello
Yeah.
to anyone and be yourself.
We have lots of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the rediscovering that school can be fun. This is the kind of school I want to have, right?
Right.
Where we're laughing and it's fun and we're learning how to just be ourselves and get along with everyone. Well, thank you so much. I look forward to connecting with you again sometime.
Anytime. Maybe we'll talk more about kids and parenting next time.
Just don't bring up clenched rear ends. And I think I got a little stuck on that picture because it was so funny.
Kind of.
So good. Yes, but there's so much to talk about in regards to children, the new generation coming up. They have a lot to teach us and we have a lot to support and guide them along the way.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for joining us on The Higher Vibe, and we will see you next time.
Hello, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. If you did, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. Share this with friends. Really helps us out and we really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you next time.